So something unusual happened in Abia State last week, where it was said a family had gone to the mortuary to collect the remains of their loved one that had been deposited there for a while to finally bury him. When they got to the mortuary attendant had prepared the body. It was said to be the body of a deceased young man. He was a young man. So when his body was handed back to his family for burial, the family decided to do some check. Usually in most mortuaries, I don't know about this one, when it's time for the funeral of the deceased person, the mortuary attendant would be in charge of dressing them up, cleaning them up, and basically prepping them and putting them in a casket. So for most families, when you're going straight to the mortuary to get the loved one, they are already caskets ready. The cleaning had been done, the makeup had been done, even the dressing up had been done. That is what a lot of morticians do. That is what their job entails. So you are going to get a casket ready loved one for burial. And that was what this family had gone to receive their loved one for. But somehow, some way, it just dawned on one of them to do some routine checks, because you never can tell. Apparently, when a family member of this deceased one was doing some checks, they discovered that some parts of this young man had been missing. His private parts, his testicles, as well as his tongue. And when they noticed that those things are not longer attached to his body and had been cut off, the family quickly raised alarm and they went back to the mortuary to demand some explanation. And when they couldn't get the explanation, they decided to pounce on the three mortuary attendants, the three people who worked there. They beat them up mercilessly. The entire villagers of Afoku community came out in numbers to also get clarity, because this is a travesty. This is something that is a taboo in the Igbo community. You don't take off anything from deceased loved one. I think it's general everywhere. Like it's a general rule. It's even against the law to mutilate deceased remains deliberately. Present them how it was brought to you. But luckily for the three mortuary attendants, the police came just in time and rescued them. But by this time, the youth had already started attacking the mortuary buildings, and other members of other families who had loved ones kept there quickly came to retrieve their loved one's body. This is chaotic. This is a pandemonium. This is a mess. This is unheard of. In the bid to question the mortuary attendants, the police asked them to explain what had happened to this young man's private part and tongue. And that was when the head of the mortuary attendants, or one of them, or basically all three of them, claimed that they know nothing as to what had happened to the man's penis. That they most likely suspect it could have been rats that had eaten them up. Now, when they did claim it was rats, it's a possibility depending on how it looked. We don't have pictures of the actual victims or the actual incident. This is just a story coming up from the community. So maybe the pictures we might use may not be a direct representation of the actual event. It's just pictorial to help us get the picture of what may have happened. So we don't know exactly what the damage looks like, but it's believable to say the rats went to eat part of the victim's body. It's a mortuary, especially if it's in a village. I don't presume it has this high-ended facility. So they most likely preserve the bodies in the old-fashioned way. Use certain kind of chemicals, spray certain kind of sprays, leave it for air. I don't think they have a whole refrigerator for it. I'm guessing they do not have it for the most part. So if it's the way we see the traditional method of embalming or traditional method of preserving a deceased body, then there is that possibility that a rat or an animal would have gone to do such a thing. But when it came to the tongue, I think this is where the people started doubting. Because most deceased mouth, that is why they put cotton wool in the mouth, or they sew up the mouth for it to be closed. There's a reason why they put cotton wool in the nose, in the ear, just to prevent things from creeping in to do the most. And if that was done, how then do you explain to the world that it was the rats who went there to open the mouth to eat the tongue? And I think that was where people did not believe them. And I also don't believe them on that note. If it was just the penis and the testicles, the private part that had been chewed up by a ghost rat or a magical rodent, yeah, that would be believable. But tongue? Now, I don't know. You would have to explain more than just say it was a rat. I don't think they thought through their explanation. Now, another thing again that makes it suspicious is they were most likely aware of the missing part. They were aware of it because they would have seen it first in order to dress the deceased up and cover it up. So I guess they were hoping once they dressed the deceased up, nobody's going to look underneath, nobody's going to check, and they will take whatever they want to take. I think that is just the horror of the story. The fact that many morticians in our community, in our society, in this country, would have gotten away with a whole lot because they are in charge of prepping. So there's a lot of people who may have buried their grandpa without his penis. It's unfortunate because by the time you go to the mortuary, it's been done. That is why they encourage families or relatives that if you have a loved one kept in a mortuary, it's recommended someone go do regular checks. You go visit, you go check to go make sure that it's still intact. You go be there when they are being cleaned up or washed up, just for the purpose of making sure that by the time you're coming for the burial, everything is intact. And also because we've had this conversation in the previous video, what these secret weird body part snatchers do and how they target the body to mutilate or rob or steal organs or body parts from is based on who is least visited. And I think that is something that happens. I don't think the family of this deceased man or boy came to visit regularly. They probably did not, because if they did come to do the visitation and checking up, the attendants, if they were the ones behind cutting the penis and the tongue, would have known not to mess with that particular body. They would have known. They would have known to avoid it. They would have probably gone for someone else that is least visited. Because that's the thing with these people. Once they see that, okay, nobody's coming to check on this one, they're just paying money and they're not coming to check. That means they don't really care for this one. So we can actually do what we want with this one. It's just unfortunate for them that some people do care. Just because they don't come every day doesn't mean they don't care. And that was why at the end of the day, they decided to check these things because they know what these people are capable of. And just as they imagined, their worst nightmare came to fruition. I know that if they had most likely constantly come to the mortuary, maybe twice a week or 3 times a week, and check what's up, those attendants would have been a lot more wary to use that particular deceased loved one. But what would they have used the testicles for crying out loud? There's some weird, morbid stories that I'm like, this is crazy. Like, what do you want to cook soup with it? Do you want to sell it to ritualists? I've not even heard of native doctors or ritualists using testicles to do what? We only hear of head, cut someone's head, breast, tongue maybe, but testicles? The penis, yes, but testicles? That's weird. That's the whole weird thing. Although, I've heard of a story where a man passes and the family collects the testicles so that they could extract semen to procreate for the deceased man. I don't know. That is as far as I've heard. So is it possible a family member came and did it so that they can, I doubt. This is the village. I don't think they would have that thought. Would they, I wouldn't know. You know, they can underestimate the village these days. So many people are very well enlightened about these things. I'm sure they know that that is possible. But could it be somebody who loves the man so much just came to steal it? They would have known, Sha, if visitors had come, they would have suspected one of them and probably, brought it up since. It's such a horrifying experience to want to bury a loved one and find out that part of their body has been harvested and taken and stolen. It's not. It's horrifying. It's just horrible. It's terrifying. It's like, no, we don't want this. We don't want that. That's just disturbing. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification button so whenever there's a new video, you'll be the first to get notified.